Welcome to the 28th edition of On Data and Design. My name is Darian. As usual, I'm your host for tonight. I'm from Super.studio, and I have initiated this On Data and Design event. Our today's topic is finally what you always wished for. It's data visualization tools. Some of you have been asking questions regarding these tools. So what tools have you been using? And we will try to show that on 3 tools. And for that, we have 3 amazing speakers. We have Tommaso Elli with RAWGraphs, and we have Neil Richards, who will introduce us to Tableau. And we have Stijn Simoens with Datylon. Each speaker will have 20 minutes for their talk. Feel free to submit your questions in Slido. The link is provided below in YouTube and probably also in the invitation letter. And after the talks, we will have time to discuss your questions. We will collect them, so there will be kind of this discussion round. I would also like to introduce 4 different locations where people have decided to watch this event together tonight. So I'm very thankful to that. And we have the University of Zurich with the Digital Society Initiative, together with Statistical Department of Canton Zurich, and the Superdoc team is joining there. I will show you the images from the places. We have the Complexity Science Hub in Vienna joining in. We have the Moholy-Nagy University of Arts and Design in Budapest. We have Sheldon Studio in Bolzano, and we have the Density Design Research Lab at the University of Politecnico Milano. Special thanks to our event sponsor, Datylon. Datylon offers solutions that empower professionals to create and produce compelling, on-brand, pixel-perfect charts and reports while maintaining full creative freedom. Datylon ranges from designing charts to producing fully automated multi-page reports. And now I would like to bring in the 3 speakers, Tommaso, Neil, and Stijn. These are the 3 speakers. They will have 20 minutes for their talks. And also, just bringing them in for the moment, we have the Complexity Science Hub in Vienna. Yes, there they are. We have the Density Design, the lab in Politecnico. We have in Budapest, we have in the Moholy-Nagy University. And we have here at the University of Zurich, we have the audience at the Digital Society Initiative. And we have Matteo Moretti, who is currently hiding behind the sofa in Sheldon Studio. He's now jumping in, and he's there. So here we go. Thank you for everyone that you joined. And I would say now it's time. First, Tommaso said he will do the first presentation. So Tommaso, the stage is yours. We are going out with our cameras.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Darian, for introduction. And thanks, everybody, for watching the stream. I'm excited. So can you hear me okay? I hope so. So a couple of words about me. So I am a designer and researcher, and I'm currently working as a junior assistant professor at Politecnico di Milano, which is a university in the north of Italy, and I'm part of the design department. I'm keen about information visualization and data visualization, and I would say also creative coding. And I collaborated with Density Design since 2016, which is a research group, a part of our university, focusing on representation of complex phenomena, information visualization, data visualization, and digital methods. Since more recently, I joined another group here at Politecnico named Retail Experience Lab, where I'm researching about sustainability in fashion, and especially in retail. And beside work, I am the co-founder of a nonprofit association named Abilitiamo Autismo that is focusing on improving life quality of adult people with autism and their families. And today, I am here to present you RAWGraphs. So I'm really happy to be here, and I thanks Data and the organizers on Data and Design for the invitation. So RAWGraphs is a tool for visualizing data that is fully online, completely free and open source, and also privacy oriented, and is widely used in areas such as design, but also most widely for teaching visualization, since it is based on a very easy and accessible interface, which makes it particularly useful for, let's say, non-technical audiences. So, for example, designers, as I am, artists, or more generally, like data enthusiasts. It is built on top of a library that I think that the most of us already know, that is called D3JS, which is a JavaScript library for producing visualizations in the browser or in a JavaScript environment. And it is focused on an approach that is based on vector graphics. We will see later why. Just before showing you a little bit the tool, I mentioned that it is completely free, and it's online and available to everybody thanks to the many people who support the project voluntarily. So there is we set up a page on GitHub through which you can support the project with a one-time donation or with a monthly support. So while inviting you maybe to do the same, I also thanks the amount of people who already are supporting the project through this setup via GitHub, but also all the people who helped us during the crowdfunding campaign that we did a couple of years ago, and that helped us in developing the second version of the tool. So the tool was born in 2012, more or less, as a side project in density design by 4 people that were part of the lab that I mentioned here as the creators, so Giorgio, Matteo, Michele, and Giorgio Uboldi. And today is developed by 3, let's say, bigger realities. One is, of course, still density design, but then we have Studio Calibro that is funded by Giorgio Boldi and Matteo Azzi, and they focus on the development of digital experience based on data. And then in Magic, which is a studio for software solution that is very capable of developing web products. The reason why RAWGraphs exists, we like to define it like this. So during our work and during especially our education, we realized that it is important to have an open source tool around to practice, to learn how to do things, and also to carry out at least a portion of the workflow of visualization. So we can think about Gephi, OpenRefine, QGIS, D3, for example, Scriptographer, who is not existing anymore, unfortunately. And RAWGraphs want to join this group of tools that allows people to start doing visualization in a completely free and open source way. The approach that is behind the RAWGraphs is somehow related to this idea of supporting a creative process that takes place through the exploration and the presentation of data. So something that is related to tailoring visualization in order to make them intriguing in a way, but also compliant with the context in which a visualization will land. So, for example, newspaper we can see here, but we can think also about presentation, web pages, museum walls, whatever. This kind of visualization, we refer to them as bespoke visualization. So some are the outcomes of an approach that is based on an authoring process that allows people with graphical skills to tailor visualization, achieving more expressive results. So we can think about improving legibility, setting graphic styles, color palettes, but also more intense modifications such as dissecting and combining visualization templates. We do this thanks to the possibility to produce SVG files that are designed to be then opened in vector graphic software such as, for example, Inkscape or Adobe Illustrator, and to rework them according to the creative process and the idea that designers might have. It is not only limited to designer. still, because the outcomes of the visualization process that we will see later in RAWGraphs is meant to produce artworks that are still, working as visualization. So they have the legend, axes, titles, and all the things. So it is also possible to be used by, casual people who wants to make visualizations. The creative possibilities that are, let's say, behind this approach is supported by, the desire of having a lot of visual templates that we can start from. And in the current version of RAWGraphs, we have about 30 templates that are organized into different categories. And of course, for a designer who wants to make you a very original visualization, the more possibilities, the better it is, right? But still, there is also another opportunity that we will see later, that is the possibility to create and then load into RAWGraphs some custom charts. This is possible thanks to a new architecture that is there since the second version, that entails a core library in JavaScript that is born, to modularize the entire things and to perform routines and actions such as data mapping, assigning data types to a dataset column, and setting color scales, for example, and other things that are commons to many different visualization templates. And then we have the charts that are exactly those templates I was mentioning before that we made available inside of the tool. And the things that you can see while you go to the website of RAWGraphs is just an interface made with React that combines the core library and the charts. I was mentioning before the custom charts. So beside the options that are available in the web interface, it is possible also to go and load a custom one. Maybe I can show you later, but it is just meant for just pressing that button and uploading a JS file that gives you access to a new visualization template. So what about the tool? I prepared this very quick demonstration live, so it's going to be also risky, I would say. And I decided to take this dataset that is a dataset about the Bechdel test that is an evaluation that we can run on movies to understand something, not completely, but something about the representation of women in movies. And it basically checks if a movie passes 3 criteria, which is the first one, if there are at least 2 named women in the movie, if they talk to each other, and if they talk about something that is not a man. And I also want to thank Alexandra for suggesting me this dataset for running the example. So if you want to go and use RAWGraphs, you can just go to the website rawgraphs.io and press the green button, use it now, that you can find it here. And immediately the software loads into a browser window. As you can see, the first things that you have to do is to load the data. The entire interface that you will see is somehow designed around this idea of explaining the process, at least a very simple process of visualizing data, starting from, of course, what is data parsing. To upload data, we have different options, uploading files, trying data samples, loading data directly from specific endpoints. What we will do now is the easiest approach, that is copy-paste. So starting from this data that I previously prepared in a spreadsheet, I can just copy all of them and pasting them into RAWGraphs. So as you can see, the software loads our data, and immediately some parsing option appears. So we can set the separator for the data that we pasted. So for example, if it were like a comma separated values, we could set it. We can specify thousands and decimal separators, which is very convenient because at times we have softwares that can be set on different languages and different locales, which sometimes compromise the parsing of numbers, and maybe many other options. Here we have a preview of our data, where we can also go and set data types. So for example, this ID, maybe I want to be a string, or this year, which is a 4-digit number. It is currently parsed as a number, but maybe I want to force it as a date, so a year. Once I've done this, a second section appears. That is the one for choosing a chart. And as you can see, we have many different options available. For each option, we have, of course, some categories specified down here, and also a preview with a brief description and the link to a tutorial page that is available on the RAWGraphs website. And there are many tutorials, one for each template, or at least one for each category of template. What we want to do today is to visualize the data with a stream graph to see like how did movie, in the history, the movie that were released during the history fail or pass the Bechdel test, as I was mentioning before. So I select a stream graph, and as you can see here, another section appear that is the one of data mapping, that is meant for mapping the columns of our data into onto some variable that each chart present. Variables are different for each templates that we can have. So for example, if I select another one, I don't know, such as the box plot, you can see here variables are just 3, the y-axis, groups, color. And if I select another one, I don't know, the scatter plot, for example, or the beesworm plot, there are different ones. So if you want to know more about them, you just go up here, go to tutorial, and you can have all the information. In our case, the example for today is prepared on a stream graph, so I'm going to select it. And as you can see, we have different options here. On the x-axis, I want to map a temporal dimension because I want to see the evolution on time. On the size, I want to map something that gives me a sense of the volume of items that are in a specific moment in time. And on streams, I want to map the different streams that are visible on the area chart. So in order to do so, I just have to drag and drop the different heading of my data dimensions also, we can call it. So I want to map the year on the x-axis, I want to map the value on the size, and I want to map the rating on the streams. And as you can see that I immediately have a preview of my chart. The series is meant, for reproducing the same chart multiple times according to some data categories. So I'll just give you an example, even if I didn't prepare it. But for example, if we want to focus on genres, we can have different thumbnails, different visualizations reproduced, one for each of the genres that are in the data set here. So comedy, drama, action, adventure, and so on. But now that I'm here, the last step for the data visualization process appear, and it is the one of customization of the chart. So we can select different width and height, so dimensions of the artboard. So for example, I like to design for presentation, so I can set simple HD ready artboard. As you can see, the artboard is larger than the one that is available in the preview, so I can scroll to visualize the entire chart, or I can even just, for the sake of this presentation, just reduce it a bit. Maybe, yeah, let's do 1000, and it is working fine. Right, then we can set other options such as the background, margins. If we want to see a legend, which is very convenient, and it's something that it wasn't there in the first version. And you can also set like the dimension of the legend. It appears up here, and as you can see, it replicates the different categories that gives us the 4 streams that you can find here. Apart from the settings for the artboard, it is more or less similar for all the chart templates. We have many other options that depends on the different templates that we selected. In this case, for example, we can decide how to sort the streams. So, for example, in this case is none, which is a representation that is based on the order in which the data element appears in the data set. But also we can, for example, decide to change the order according to what it is like the most predominant value, or just reversing it according to the data set. In this case, I think that the easiest is the none, because we can see like from 0 out of 3, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3. So it is some sort of increasing value, increasing logic. Curve type is the way in which the curve is designed. Probably here we have even more options that we need. I usually suggest students to just use the bump or to use the step, which are the most accurate representation of curves. And then, of course, also some setting in the vertical alignment of the area chart. So in this case, it's a regular area chart in which we can compare like the absolute values of the volumes of movies during in every year. But for example, we can decide to expand them and normalize it and see like in a proportion of 0 to 100% of the movies, how many of them are organizable into the different categories. Of course, we can show the y-axis, which is cutted here because we need to increase a little bit the margin on the left. So you can see it's an approach that it simplifies like the drawing of graphical elements, but still requires some manual working from the people who create the chart. Then there are also other, for example, silhouette in which it tries to center down the different streams. In this case, I think we are just good with the known, which is the regular area chart. And then we have other options, for example, the colors. We can set like different color scales that are available in the tool. So the just the one that is the most probably used around the visualization tool, that is the categorical 10, or we have others that are derived again from D3. But also what we can do is we can just go and set the colors according to our preferences, again to simplify the adaptation of the chart to a context of destination. So for example, I'm happy with this. I have some options about labels here. I can add outlines if maybe the labels are not popping out enough, and I can decide like where they are drawn. Sometimes this option gives strange results. And finally, there is the export section in which we can just go and export the chart. We have different options. One is the SVG, as I was mentioning before, to go and further edit the chart into Illustrator, Inkscape, Figma, and other software for intervening on vector graphics. We have a couple of raster options, but then we have the .RAWGraphs file. That is I would call it proprietary, but it's a specific file that encapsulates all the actions that and all our selections that we performed up to now to save our project and being able to open it back again or to share with a colleague. So if I download it, for example, and I just go on another session of RAWGraphs, maybe because I want to open it in after 1 week or a month, just go on Open Your Project, and I can just drag and drop our .RAWGraphs file, and as you can see, all our work is saved and still available in here. As I mentioned before, this tool is also based on I have 2 minutes. Yeah, it's also based on a privacy-focused approach, because even though the tool is online, what happens only happens within your browser, and there is no data exchange with any server. So the processing and the mapping and the rendering of the data only takes place in your machine, and therefore it allows you to know that your data never left your workstation. Last thing that I wanted to show you is how to import a custom chart. There are custom charts available in the RAWGraphs GitHub account. And basically, it's about downloading a JS file that you can upload in RAWGraphs. So for example, I need to close this here, and I have here prepared everything that I need. So I have this TSV file that I can upload also without opening it. This is some data that I prepared for the occasion, in which we have just 3 columns. One is a keyword, one is a category that is a master degree course, and some number. And here I just do load custom chart, and I can upload the JS file that I downloaded from GitHub following the instructions. And as you can see here, a new model appears. And yeah, at this point, I need to select it and just, yeah, I think it was like here, master courses, keywords, yeah, and then number of theses. And well, I don't have time to explain you what this model does, but basically, you can see that we extended the potentiality of the software using a specific, let's say, plugin that everybody can design and develop according to the guidelines that are available on GitHub. And maybe if you want, you can also jump in more during the question session. And I think that was all.
Thank you. Super nice. I didn't know the depth of RAWGraphs. That's cool. Yes, we have, before the next speaker comes, just to remind you, you can ask questions in Slido. If you don't have the link, there is a fast, ugly QR code. You can scan it now. You have 30 seconds. And then we have already actually quite a lot of questions, which is really good. So tools are very popular. Happy about that. Tommaso will have to answer them afterwards. And now let me take the QR code out. And now it's Neil. The stage is yours. Thank you, Tommaso. We're going out. Neil, you have to unmute and share your screen. Good. Here we go.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Darian, for inviting me to speak at this event. This should be a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of the work that you and your team do, and I'm here to talk about Tableau. The point of my talk is not really to tell you that Tableau is the best tool or that it's perfect for all of your data visualization needs. I'm talking about it because it's the tool that I know. It's the tool that I know best. And I have always been able to find a solution using Tableau to do all sorts of visualizations. Okay. So this is me. I'm Neil. I'm from Alfreton, which is a very unremarkable place right in the center of the UK. And I'm representing Tableau really as a Tableau visionary, which is kind of a community recognition, if you like. So somebody who's not necessarily the best at Tableau, although I have bits that I'm relatively good at, but it just means that I'm an advocate. I love to share what I do, get stuff out in public, and to help and support those who are interested in using Tableau. And the Hall of Fame just means that I've been doing it for a long time and I'm getting quite old. All right, so this is Tableau. You may recognize the logo there. You might be less familiar with the From Salesforce bit underneath. Tableau were bought by Salesforce a few years ago, but they've still maintained the same identity within that. Their motto, isn't that the right word? Anyway, is that Tableau help people see, understand, and act on data. It always used to be see and understand their data. I think they've added act on as more and more perhaps AI capabilities get added on to what Tableau can offer. The possibly best thing about Tableau, in my opinion, is Tableau Public. Tableau Public is absolutely free, which enables you to download Tableau to use on your desktop. You can use any freely available data that you don't mind going up out there onto the internet. And it's a fully functional version of Tableau. And as you can see from the marketing on the site here, it's a great opportunity to learn, get inspired from all the other Tableau stuff that's out there, and even to sort of to share and download and see some of the other examples of Tableau Public out there. And it really sort of grows your portfolio and really helps to upskill yourself. So I thought I'd sort of talk about Tableau and data visualization, where it all kind of fits in. I should do this visually, really. So let's start by looking at what Tableau can do. Tableau is a traditional BI package. 90+% of people who use Tableau, that is what they will use it for. And they will use it to make charts a little bit like that. There's no need for the majority of people to use Tableau kind of outside of that particular bubble. I mean, if you have a look here, this is a chart that probably took me, or it did take me less than 1 minute to create. You can drag, you can drop, you can choose what you want to compare. So I've just used the data set that comes with Tableau to look at sales per month over those 4 years. So it's really good, really accessible for something quick and easy like that. But there's an overlap. Tableau's got so much more capability than that. I've sort of called it visualization, storytelling. It really what incorporates the design elements of Tableau. So you can look at a kind of what would fall in the intersection there. I've come up with an example here. Again, this is a simple bar chart, one that I created quite a few years ago, but it just shows that you can add best practices, you can add colors, you can add decent text, you can keep to all the good principles, you can add additional elements such as we have different averages and icons and things like that. And there's so many different ways that you can turn a 30-second drag and drop chart into something that looks a lot more simple and a lot easier for people to understand the message and take from that. So that's where Tableau's strengths really kind of lie. And then if you go further into that other yellow section here, there's a big focus on creating the viz, if you like. So those curated examples of getting a lot of visualizations together, trying to tell a story, in this case within a very long form dashboard, using design skills. This particular example, let's show you it broken down into 3 there. You can see how the author here is Chris Westlake, and he's brought in all sorts of different chart types to call out different elements of data, to highlight a particular social good cause. And this was Chris's entry into the annual Iron Viz competition. And actually, poor Chris, he knows I was going to show his viz today. He probably didn't know I was going to show his grinning face today. But Iron Viz is a competition run by Tableau at the annual conference. This particular one was in San Diego, and they run it every year. And the idea being you have 20 minutes to really kind of show off what Tableau can do and create something amazing. It's a huge marketing opportunity, and it really highlights again within the conference what Tableau can do. But both Chris and I work in the same company. It really kind of shows this is the core strength of Tableau. If you can explore, if you can gain design skills, if you can sort of take part in the visualization designing elements of the community, you can really use those skills to take them back, if you like, into the red area of traditional BI, of making those charts look better, of making those charts perform better, and of making those charts into some really good actionable dashboards. And it's this kind of overlap of the red and yellow that really sort of forms the core of the great strength of Tableau. So this is what really sort of most users will focus on. Your power users over on the right there, and the very traditional users on the left. But I mean, you might have noticed that I've used sort of two of the big colors today and left a big gap on the bottom there. I really want to consider that overlap of more stuff that Tableau can do. And I'm never quite sure what to call it. I've called it data art / unconventional. This is my favorite circle. This is what I love that Tableau can do. When I started in data visualization, I saw what was out there, and I wanted to be the next Georgia Lupi or Stephanie Posavec or Nadia Bremer or Nick Ruger or Sonia Kuipers. And the more people I say, the more people I'm missing out. So I do really apologize. But it came clear to me that it is possible to get Tableau to do pretty much most things that you want to do. You can emulate the unconventional, you can emulate the data art, you can emulate those things that don't come straight out of the box in the normal Tableau usage. So let's fill some more in here in this gap between data art and storytelling. Well, let's see that a bit closer. This came out about 2016 when I was first getting into Tableau, and this the reaction to most people this was, wow, Tableau can do this. That's amazing. That looks nothing like anything I could do out of the box. Some great examples of all sorts of curves and visuals and all sorts of different graphics hidden in there. Analysis of the Beatles, such a great fun visualization. And visitors like this inspired me and many people to see what we could do. For completely unconventional there, that doesn't overlap with anything, I've put a kind of a close-up of one of my own visualizations. I decided I wanted to look at Premiership football clubs, and I wanted to visualize them as flowers. I really just wanted to come up with something artistic, something geometrical, something colorful, with no storytelling or analytic value, but something that was creative and unconventional and artistic, that was generated by data. And this you can do in Tableau as well. So what goes in the middle, it's a chance for a quick plug, that represents me, my blog, and my book. I'd like to sort of delve into all of these kind of areas of data visualization. Now, my book, I'm not here to plug it, but my book has nothing to do with Tableau. Tableau happens to be the tool that I use. My book is all about emulating new ideas and new things that I wanted to create within data visualization, whether they sort of initially lived inside or outside or any of those circles. And along with that, I found out about the modular information design stuff that Superdot have done. So you can see here, let's look a little bit closer. This was an example of their initial Kickstarter sales, I think, but done in Superdot style, where all of the different examples they came up with are examples of the different types of modular design. So they have different design types for data dimensions, for diagrammatical dimensions, for visual dimensions, and this all sort of gives you all these different opportunities. Something that looks very unlike what you might have seen before, but I absolutely love this. And I took it to myself, I thought, well, can I move that right there? Can I do that in Tableau? And spoiler alert, I did do that in Tableau, and I'm sure perhaps this is why I'm the Tableau guy talking here, who really wanted to replicate this modular information design within the Tableau BI tool, because it really resonated with me as a pretty sort of unconventional, artistic, and a really good way to show this particular data. So what we'll do, we'll go into a little bit of detail as to how I've been able to do that in Tableau. But not much, because I appreciate I'm sort of taking up the time sort of explaining the capabilities. But before I do that, actually, no, here's an additional slide. Just for those of you actually who don't know about the modular information design stuff that I'm talking about, this is the book and the poster behind it, that which is the Superdot book about modular information design there. So you can see all the different sort of 40-something ways of displaying data. So this is what I came up with. Maybe I thought that by going cyan, yellow, and pink instead of red, green, and blue, it wouldn't look too much like a homage to their original work. I found some data, and my data was data from my family, my wife, my son, and me, and 365 days worth of Wordle results in 2022. I thought that would be a lot of fun. I thought there would be lots of different ways I could visualize them in kind of modular information design style. And sure enough, I did. But let's look at going a bit closer. So this one on the left, I displayed them as blocks in either single color or shared color, depending on the winner, and kind of arranged them so that we could see all 365 results there. And throughout, we have the color scheme for each of the winning players there. And on the right, I decided to put everything in radial arrangement. Radial is one of the sort of the examples that modular information design will come up with as well. And again, like with all of these, and what really sort of resonated with me and my preferences is all about deconstructing and showing disaggregated data. So looking at complex data and showing it in a disaggregated way. A couple more. There's a lot of people in my industry who hate pie charts. well, there's several hundred pie charts on this table, again, disaggregated in different ways. So we can see that real sort of breakdown of winners and joint winners on each day, including one kind of arranged round in a hexagon there. So just when I talk about, I have some sort of standard slides when I talk about Tableau, which kind of explains how it influences me to use Tableau, the tool, to create geometric stuff, data art. And the clue is kind of here already. Some of you may be familiar with this. Probably most of you will recognize this as Pete Mondrian, who he did this just over 100 years ago. And I mean, perhaps to an English guy, the word Tableau is more of a coincidence that this is actually called Tableau #1. And I look at the thing on the right, I think that could be one of my visualizations. I love blocks and colors and art in that kind of sense. And if you actually even look at the word, so in English, so obviously it's a borrowed French word, but if you look at it in terms of English, we look at Tableau, this is defined as a picturesque grouping of persons or objects to a striking scene. So Tableau is all about sort of getting objects together and creating your scene like that. But then if you look at it, you can see I've looked at the French definition here. There's a lot more translated French versions here for me, and it's highlighted the board. So we're talking really about the blank drawing board here, the blank slate. So it really allows me to think of Tableau as your blank slate to create a striking scene, a visualization scene, or it's your carte blanche, literally. It's your blank sheet of paper, and I think of it further as your blank sheet of graph paper. So when you think about what Tableau can do, it was explained to me sort of quite early on, which I thought was brilliant, that Tableau, if you can draw it, then so can Tableau. But Tableau only does things very basically. It can plot a point, and it can draw a line between 2 points. And if those points form a shape, it can color them in. That's pretty much all it can do. It can also put, if you've got some predetermined shapes like whatever you might load in, or images, it can put them on as well. But that's pretty much it. And it will just draw those lines in a sequence that you tell it to. So what it can't do, if you're doing that, is plot more than 1 point per data record. So anything you're doing conventionally, it'll put so on a scatter plot, it will put your data record on the sheet in a particular place. It can't draw circles or draw curves. So really what you have to do is specify lots of particular points and color them in. Sorry, not color them in, and join them together. So for a circle, you probably want 20, 30, 40 points, all, to make a very a polygon with a lot of sides, which actually looks like a curve or a circle. So what it usually means is data scaffolding. And just a really simple way of describing that is you need more than one copy of each data record. And that usually means you need to union the data with itself a number of different times, and then give each copy of it a different record, a different mark. So usually a path, 0, 1, 2, that kind of thing. So if you know you want to do sort of specific lines for every record, you're going to need 2 copies. If you know you're going to do curves and circles, you need a lot of different copies there. So you're just building up extra copies of the data. So once you know that, you really just sort of break down Tableau to work in a way that it wasn't necessarily intended to do. So this is probably the easiest one to explain just in a couple of minutes, the radial chart that I showed. And, excuse me, this goes down to considering Tableau as a graph paper. I just had to think, right, X and Y, how do I want to plot this? I probably should have had X and Y the other way around, but it's a circle, so it doesn't matter. And once I've decided that, I want to do something that's out of the box, and it really means that I have to decide exactly where every single point of data needs to go. But that's okay. I've converted every data point into an X and a Y, and I need 2 points for every data point. I need the inner part of each line and the outer part of each line. So over on the right there, you can see possibly that I've got a path variable, and I'm just filtering in 2 of those. So all I'm doing is I'm sort of making a scatter plot of X and Y and joining in each line for each data point. My color mark over on the left there says on the winner. So the color that is based on the winner, the names, Claire, James, Neil over on the right, and gray if there was no overall winner. And the level of detail is number, and number is just what I've used for in order to describe each game. So I think the first one was something like number 1001, and the last one was number 1366 or something like that. So I'm not doing a live demo or anything like this. I'll do a very quick bit of simple code, which I've shown how you have to do this. And it's just a matter of, right, I'm treating this as graph paper. I'm determining the X and Y of every part that I want to use. So for both X and Y, you can see I've had to remember a bit of schoolboy trigonometry there. If I can do it at my age, I guess most of you can do it if you're younger than me. I just had to remember sine and cos for X and Y and multiply it by the length of the line, and that gave me all the position that I wanted, knowing that each of these was actually plotting two different points. So if I look at the bottom right one first, line length. Well, line length was actually, it was going to be a small length, so just a spacer amount, so that's the amount I decided to make it out from the middle. If it was path 0 and it was path 1, it was longer. It would be made longer by the number of guesses. And then to actually determine the angle on the top left, all I'm doing there is working out how far round the circle it needs to go, depending on how close it is to the bottom number or the top number. So I don't want to go into sort of huge amounts of detail there, only to show you that this is probably one of the simplest examples of, I want to do something bespoke, I want to do something geometrical and tell it what I'm going to do rather than use the preset functions. And I'm going to use a bit of simple mathematics and trigonometry and things like that in order to determine how I want to put it in on X and Y and how I want to join everything together. And then I've obviously got a number of similar examples to that. And all this fits really nicely with modular information design.
2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes is literally my last slide here. This last slide is really just to say some of the extra clever things that I haven't got time to talk to you about here in Tableau that can cut some more corners for you that can really help. First one, map layers. It's a relatively new functionality which just enables you to cheat. It's the intention is for you to be able to layer up different layers of data on top of a physical map. But you can use that even if you're not using a map. You can just convert all of your data positions onto an imaginary map and then make that map invisible. And then lo and behold, so long as you've made the calculations correct and put them on top of each other in the right place, you can then lay out lots of transparent layers above each other to really enable you to build something more complex. The second one, Tableau extensions, something I'm yet to try, but I'm excited at seeing what the community is doing. A lot of non-native chart types were very complex, something like a Sankey diagram. I told you, how many different versions you need and to plot every single point in a curve. There's some great work being done in the community. If you check out La Data Viz, which is a company run by Tristan Gouvin and Jessica Bautista, they're coming up with some amazing shortcuts which you can then just import into Tableau at the click of a click of a button on a quick drag and drop. You can now do things like B swarms, Sankey diagrams, network diagrams, which weren't part of the network. Part of the initial capability of Tableau. And then just to sort of follow up on that, I've called it Tableau Community. In short, if ever anyone does something cool on Tableau, they will blog it, they will show it, they will put it up on Tableau Public, so you'll be able to see how it's done. You'll be able to look at the blog, and so long as you attribute people, show who you're inspired by, do it fairly, you can really grow and you can really learn some clever stuff there. So many of what I've learned over the years, I've found from or taken inspiration from what other people in the Tableau community have done. And every so often people tell me some of the stuff that they borrowed from what I've done as well, so that we can really kind of, we just grow and grow in terms of what Tableau is capable of doing. So it's really moved on from a drag and drop bar and line chart to something that can, that can really, with very little coding knowledge at all, allow you to do some cool stuff, such as emulate your favorite modular information design stuff. So that's it from me. Thank you for allowing me to come and talk. You can see some of my LinkedIn and socials if you want to contact and find out a bit more. And if you're curious as to what that QR code does, I won't stop you finding out right now. All right, you can go to the page where you can get my book. Right, okay. I'm so British, I should promote it better than that.
Perfect.
Interesting.
Neil, so surprising. So from two ways surprising, I must say. I didn't expect so many flowers. Modern information design. Thanks a lot. Very, very honored. And the other thing, I didn't know that it's so much possible with some mathematics to hack Tableau and the possibilities. So you made me really curious. I think I'm gonna go there. That's cool.
Awesome.
Okay, super. Yeah. So we're going to the last talk. And just one thing, if you like the video or something, feel free to like on YouTube what we're doing. So that's helping us a lot, and share it also with your network. Neil, thanks. We're gonna, now switch to Stan. Here we go. Yes.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Great. Good. Thank you, Dagan. Hello. My name is Stijn Simoens. I'm a co-founder at Datylon.
Sorry. I think we see your screen. Yes, the presentation full screen. Yes. Yeah. Super.
All right. Good. Oops. Let me start. So again, my name is Stijn, co-founder of Datylon, and it's also for me a pleasure and an honor actually to do this presentation and this demonstration for you of the Datylon solutions to design and automate graphs, reports, and data stories. So how did it all start? Our vision was actually that we focus on what we call the last mile of data, which is the communication. So there are already many tools like Tableau and others to collect data, to prepare data, to find the gems and the insights in the data, and use visualizations for that. So that's the data exploration part. But we focus on the data explanation part. So where you communicate not only to experts on a certain topic, but sometimes to one-to-one, but also a larger audience that does not is necessary is an expert on the topic. So you need to either simplify the charts and the graphs, or you need to add a story around it, annotations, text to explain what you want to tell. Good. So what is the platform that we will show today? Actually, I will focus on one thing, that is Datylon for Illustrator. So it's a plugin in Adobe Illustrator. In a way, you can say we upgraded, we pimped Adobe Illustrator into also a data visualization tool. Now, it's not only about Illustrator, you can also use it in conjunction with Adobe InDesign to build reports of multiple page reports with a lot of charts, and even use it to kind of semi-automatically produce different reports, personalized reports. I will focus on that later during the presentation. But you can also use it to create templates. So you can use the plugin to create a one-off, like one design, one document, or you can create templates. And these templates can then be used by others who don't have access to Illustrator and create a report made out of the templates that you made, that the designer or the data visualization designer made for them. And you can go one step further. You can use exactly those same templates to automate the production of these reports. In that way, so you can connect your database so as you can see here, you can connect your database to the Datylon report server via an API, and then you can send data into these templates. You can upload the data into these templates, and then you can produce automatically reports. This can be like for high volume reports, a one-off project for 1,000 reports or something, or recurring reports every month, every week, every day, maybe every hour, and so on. Good. But the best way to show it is, of course, showing samples. Before I do that, we have quite a lot of customers all over the world, from like smaller, from like designers, freelance designers and data visualization designers, up to enormous and large organizations. And for instance, the United Nations is a good example. Also, our customers are coming from totally different sectors, from finance, industrial, of course, marketing as well, and so on. Anyway, the samples I just mentioned. You see here, this is like a small infographic, and indeed, there's some extra illustrations. There's, of course, graphs in there, a map in there, and annotations, and so on. And this is a typical one-off document that is built within Datylon for Illustrator. On the right side, you see also more creative, fancy stuff. Usually, again, these are visualizations that are one-off and built for a certain purpose. Now, you have also recurring charts. I just talk about isolated charts here. On the left side, you see a kind of calendar. A calendar, of course, years change, so you can update your calendar every year or every month or whatever. And on the right side, this is a design purely built graphically in Datylon for Illustrator. But the nice thing about the tool is also once you build it, once you design it, it's also ready to automate, and you can load new data into it, or you can use it in Datylon Report Server and create like thousands of these charts. So there's no need to convert or translate your design into something else, HTML or whatever. No, when you create it in Datylon for Illustrator and export it, it's done, ready to be automated. Anyway, automation is one thing, but also a lot of our users actually use it to make large reports, like this one, Access to Medicine. It's an annual report with a lot of graphs in there, 250 pages, 235 pages, 250 charts. And the neat thing about our workflow is that you create your own library of charts on brand, following the company style guide. And then you just reuse them in your document. You upload new data. It takes like a second, and you can move to the next slide chart. So it's really a very productive way in building these larger reports. Other examples here. This is for the Dutch government. This is a set of slides actually for different regions in the Netherlands. There's like 20 regions. So they have all 20 different presentations actually with 20 different data sets. And you see it's also on brand, color is important, font choice is important, pixel perfect, as you are used when you're working with Adobe Illustrator or Adobe InDesign. This is a recurring report for the Port of Antwerp. Now notice also this is a template actually, and you see these text blocks. So also text is considered as a chart. So you can upload text via the data, and you don't need to, type text or copy and paste text. No, you can actually upload everything via a data file, which could be an Excel file or a Google Sheet or CSV or whatever. And also they have like different versions of it, like a smaller version that they send out via email. All using the same, let's say, chart library, and it makes the design process very efficient. And then you have even a higher level of automation. Let's say, for instance, this is a design for a local government here in Antwerp, in Belgium, and it's a project of 69 different versions for different communities here in commonalities here in Antwerp. and it's full of charts, full of graphs, and yeah, it's designed once as a template, and then we just upload the data coming from different sources, and all the documents are made in a couple of hours. And on the right side, you see another example, investment reports. This is recurring for the high-tier investors of a certain company, and they get a really nice report every month automatically sent to them. And then the highest level of automation is actually where you embed our report engine, let's say, into an application. For instance, this is an Australian company, and the document that the user will get, the reader will get, is about 60 pages long. It's completely designed with Datylon for Illustrator. But then the application is as such that a user logs into their website, into their platform. They load data into it about, in this case, about cybersecurity, and they get automatically in real time, they get a report back, 50 pages or something, with your data compared to your peers, in this case in Australia. So it's a really nice tool to help people understand data and take action with the data. Good. So these are different levels of let's say, complexity. And let's have a look at the tool itself now. So I will open Illustrator. I have two different examples, a document, multiple pages, and also this one, which is a bit more of a complex chart. Now, we can debate if this is a good chart or not. That is another question, but it helps to explain how things work. So first of all, it's a plugin in Illustrator, meaning that you can use all the Illustrator tools to style your chart. So if I take out the Datylon elements, you see here this background, really these titles, let's say, categories, nicely rounded around a circle, this very specific grid. This is something that is very difficult to do with standard charting tools, even with our own tool. But you have Illustrator, and you can build it yourself in Illustrator. So if you look then at the chart itself, it might look in the beginning a bit complex, but actually it's very simple. It's a pie chart. And I just heard Neil indeed say that many data visualization people don't like pie charts. We have our own opinion about it, but some of them really use it. So how does it work? You just drag a box like you do with many things in Illustrator. Now, normally I would do this numerically, but just for the sake of timing, I just do it, let's say, by hand. And then you immediately get like, a default chart. It's always a horizontal bar chart. And then the right side, like the other tools, you see there's many different options and many different defaults actually available. I believe in our case, like 130 different. Now, I want this to be like a kind of pie chart, but not a normal pie chart, not a donut chart, but a nightingale chart. So let me just get rid of the labels there. So you see it's a nightingale chart. Also, what I could do, maybe get rid of the grid. Okay, there we are. And you also see I get default data, I get dummy data. So you can either start with data or you can just start with designing it. Either way works, because now I can, well, of course I can change this manually, but this is not really good practice, of course, but it shows you what is possible. What I can do though, is I can connect an Excel file, a Google Sheet file, a CSV file to my pie chart. So I will do that. Now you see it looks already different. Also, the slices have all the same size. That is, on purpose, let's say. But still, I'm not so happy with it. So what I can do is I can bind or drag, let's say, properties into the data set, or the other way around, data columns into my properties. And one of the things here is, you see, you get here like default colors. I want to connect it to data. So I'm gonna see outer color. Is that the one? Yeah. So you see here in my data set, I have actually color definitions, and you can, with formulas in Excel, you can calculate what these colors should be. It helps you also to create even kind of series, right, in your pie chart. Anyway, this is how this thing is built up. Let me, get rid of it and just show you the end result again. There you are. And this is how you build up. And you see it doesn't take time to create this chart. And in the end, again, when it's done, it's not just an Illustrator file. It's really a template that you can use to load new data into it. So that's one thing. Let me see about my time. Yeah. The other thing is, you can also build complete documents, multi-page documents. Now, this one is only 4 pages, so I didn't bother using InDesign, but you can connect it to InDesign, and then you can build these 10, 20, 30, 100, 200, 300 page documents, and still keep your charts linked to the data. That is important. So how does that work? It's like pretty the same as I showed before. So let me do this very quickly. You have, like in this case, a very simple bar chart. I can connect it, as we saw before, to some other data. And then I have a whole load of different properties that are very similar to, let's say, the graphic properties of Illustrator, and allow you to change the look and feel of this chart. So now I don't have time to go into details, but you see here, you can make round bars as well, and I only want it to be round at the edge. And then, I want to fill it, maybe not with colors, different colors, but maybe with a gradation, and then I can make the gradation data driven. You see that only the biggest bar becomes black in this case. And just to show you in what kind of detail you can go, so let's zoom in on this tick here from the horizontal axis. And if I go to the tick, what did I want to do? Yeah, let me go here. So you can even change the end of the tick. And this is sometimes what designers need. If this is the style guide, if this is what it requires to be on brand, well, we can, you can make it with Datylon Illustrator. And of course, there's plenty other features. And unfortunately, I don't have enough time to cover that, because I want to show at least one other thing. And this is here. So you see here, there's something missing. So how does it work? You build for yourself a library of charts. So you don't have to wait for anybody else. You just create it yourself. You can use other existing templates from other people as well, of course. But, you have here a template or a chart that you just copy. And the only thing you need to do is to link it to another data set, and boom, that's it. So there you have new data linked and to a new chart. Now, this is nice that you can do this chart by chart, but of course you can do this on multiple charts, because this is important when you have like a more complex job with many charts. Now, also noticed here, I already mentioned before, this is not in Illustrator text. This is a Datylon chart, and you will see immediately what happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load a new Excel file with the same structure, and all the charts are going to be, hopefully, are going to be updated. So let's see if that works. So need to think a little bit. Here you go. There you see everything is done. So now you have already a new document. If you work with InDesign, and you keep the link between the Illustrator file and InDesign open, all your charts in the InDesign file will be updated as well. And so this is how you can build different versions of your document, of your report. And then the last step, if you want to go take it one step further, as I already shown in the slides, you can upload all these artboards as templates. It's really easy. You can do them in bulk. You can upload them as templates in what we call Datylon Report Studio. And there you can, via the API, address the Datylon report server and create as many documents as you need. So that was it on my side. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope gave you a little bit of, it teased you a little bit to try out the tool. So you can go to our website, download the tool, you can try out it for free. And if you want to go one step further in automating the production of these reports, you can always contact us. We're happy to help. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. So, thanks a lot, Stijn. I think we're done with the 3 presentations. Now it's time for the discussions. So, Tommaso and Neil, yes, you can unmute. So I will start with the most upvoted question. Of course, the most upvoted question had the most time to be upvoted. So, Tommaso, we have a question to you. Somebody says RAWGraphs is super cool. Tableau has so many employees assigned to develop the tool. How are you able to maintain a free software without making money?
That's an interesting question. Yeah. So first of all, I think I should mention that Tableau is much more extended than RAWGraphs. I mean, RAWGraphs is an essential tool. So there are very few things that needs to be maintained. Maybe there is something that help us in keeping it alive without having many people working on it, right? So it's not choosing what to pursue. So for example, as you have seen during the tutorial, we decided to not having features for data processing, data filtering, whatever. So those kind of things are completely skipped. And the reasons behind of it, like the logic is we already have tools such as a spreadsheet that can do it very well. So there is no need to reinventing it. So just try to simplify and make it as as smooth as possible. To switch between one to the other application. While in Tableau we have a lot of functions for wrangling data, uploading data from different endpoints. It's much more extended because there are people who actually need those tools. So RAWGraphs is much more limited than it is. And the thing about making money, well, the software actually remained pretty much at the same let's say development stadium until we founded the second version with a crowdfunding campaign. And in that moment we actually just used that money to pay our time for releasing a new version. But still the software is pretty much at that level now. So we didn't develop it further. This is actually causing the software to have some little bugs sometimes. So I don't want to hide them. There are probably in Datylon and in Tableau there are less bugs than there are in RAWGraphs. And it's I think it's a matter of how you choose the spirit of your open source project to make it live even without the need of a lot of maintenance.
Cool. Let me stay here because there was a question which was directed to you or RAWGraphs, but actually I think it's kind of the second question which pops up very often. The first one is kind of what visualization tool did you use? That's kind of the one standard question. And the second is the role of artificial intelligence, we can actually maybe regarding all the three tools, we can try to answer it. The question is kind of, would artificial intelligence or kind of a prompt help in with tool, with decision of diagrams, in handling the tool, be it for Tableau, for Datylon, or for RAWGraphs? What do you say?
Yeah.
Well, I can answer that question in that sense that we are definitely, every software company, looking into AI. We have done already some prototypes and testing and so on. And for now, we see that the most advantage for us and for our users would be in creating a kind of wizard, let's say, and helping them to find the right properties and the right buttons to design their chart. Leaving it completely into the hands, let's say, of the artificial intelligence tools, although you have really great tools that make like a kind of, what can I say, a kind of inspirational example. Still, there's a lot of, design thinking and design decision making to do. And yeah, we see it definitely as a supporting tool. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and certainly from Tableau is doing a lot of work in the field of AI. I'm probably the wrong person to have to talk about it because my knowledge of it is limited. But certainly on the results side of things, on the server side of things, where you have, where you're using Tableau in enterprises, there's a lot of additional work into looking at charts and using AI in order to try and interpret the finding and the story for you. You can also say there's a little bit of AI in terms of Tableau has a kind of a show me panel, and it kind of it assumes the kind of chart that you want to be making based on whether you're looking at a dimension or whether you're looking at a number or something like that. Very often we recommend that you turn that off because it's better to understand, from first principles and for you to decide what chart it is. And again, if ever AI was to look at data and try and guess the kind of chart that I was going to make, they're probably going to get it wrong. So AI, that says more about me than it does AI. But yeah, there's a lot of uses in Tableau, but again, more on the business side of things and interpreting server results. Certainly, if you're interested in that, there's a lot more information out there than I know personally about. But yeah, it's a big thing.
Mm-hmm. Tommaso? You're on mute. The micro.
Yeah, sorry. In terms of like RAWGraphs roadmap, we don't have plans to, introduce any AI functionality. Okay. But still, I think it's something that is out in the air since quite a while. I remember, like, even before like generative AIs were around us, there were already a lot of people that are working like on guessing the best visual presentation according to a specific data set. Remember, maybe 2017, 2018, there were already some research about it, right? So it's something that is in the air since a while. I think it is something that could really help in streamlining the process. So simplifying when you need to do repetitive stuff. So maybe when you have just a few time. In what I mostly do with data visualization is teaching, and in that sense, I don't really know, because teaching is about transferring like the basic concepts and the act of mapping the data, cleaning a data set, making the decision is something that helps in learning. So maybe it's not something that it is easy to be achieved when there is an AI that does those things for you. But for sure, like in the professional real life, it is something that helps a lot, as all the other generative AI tools are doing currently.
Yeah, makes sense. There are steps we have to do manually or step by step before making it very fast and automated. Yeah. There is one question which is going in the direction maybe of the examples you have shown. So a little bit there was a focus which went more into communication side or kind of the print side, or kind of that you take the data and you make something static. The question was, how do your tools that you presented go into web or kind of real time, or is that not the direction that your tools are supposed to go? So kind of like websites and updated data and so on. So the web.
Who's this question aimed at?
So it was more a general question, kind of how would you go for web projects with your tools?
Well, I can speak for Datylon. When you upload the designs that you made into Report Studio, so in an online tool, you can also publish it, and then you can have the choice either use an URL or embedding code to embed it in a website. We are not, well, I wanted to say we are staying away from animations and so on. That's also not completely true. But since we are in this data storytelling business, let's say, we see that you have to take the reader, by the hand and guide you through your story. And then having these filters and all these animations doesn't help. On the contrary, it makes it only complex. That's one thing. And secondly, the resources of the companies that want to build these reports are limited. And if you want to make a whole movie around around the data, it's going to take you a lot of time. It's going to be very costly. So it's a very practical thing. You see fantastic animated charts and you have tools that allow you to do it. But again, it takes time, and it doesn't always help to make it more clear. Having said that, we are kind of lucky, let's say, or it was a deliberate decision, of course, that we are locked into the Adobe space, and there you can use After Effects actually to animate the charts that are in Adobe Illustrator. But that goes for all the other tools as well, So yeah.
Yeah, certainly Tableau is set up to be able to allow you to host visualizations online. Plenty of interactivity in as much as filters, tooltips, that kind of thing. Animation, less so. The capability is sort of relatively rudimentary there. But again, it all depends on use. And I think what Stijn said there is so important, that we wouldn't necessarily just because Tableau can do something, it's not always right that you have 1,000 filters and all the different interactiveness that you might be tempted to otherwise put in. But yes, that said, whether you're creating a project to host up onto Tableau public, or whether you're putting something in your internal dashboard for self-service data, yes, there's very much the facility to put stuff online. Yeah, it's true. The kind of stuff that I focus on personally, that I love to talk about, is almost always static kind of visualizations as well. I always, from a personal point of view, think, would this look great on a poster behind me or up on a wall? But again, that's the kind of the data art kind of preference that I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So for RAWGraphs, I would say that the baseline is to develop just static visualization that goes on a screen or on a paper. I would say similarly to what you can do with Datylon, even if, of course, with less options, maybe a little bit more manual work. But given the fact that you have access to an SVG file, we have examples, for example, of classes in which we teach students how to add some, little interaction to the charts. Because I agree with Stijn in saying that we have to be careful when adding interactive elements to charts, because sometimes they are distracting instead of helping us. But there are times, for example, when there are a lot of labels that are long and they overlap, just to make an example, in which it makes sense, to add some over functionality, just to show labels maybe on demand. And that is something that actually is possible to be done with just, a sparkling of JavaScript and an HTML page. So with RAWGraphs, it is possible. And then there is, the libraries that I mentioned before. So it is possible technically to just embed RAWGraphs in any web page that you can control, just using the core library and one of the charts that you can select, or even your own custom chart. When you go into custom charts, that you have basically all the possibilities that you want, because you can add any functionality that you are capable of programming with JavaScript and with even further libraries. So we use D3, for example, but nothing prevents you from using 3JS, Pixie.js, or whatever.
Understood. Super. Let's have two last questions. The one is for Neil. Somebody's asking, the hacking of Tableau for the unconventional diagrams. Is there a course somewhere or tutorial you could learn how to do that?
Not really that I'm aware of, other than there are so many blogs out there. So if there's the kind of visualization that you've seen and are interested in, see if the author has blogged about it. If not, the chances are, if it's on Tableau public, we always encourage people to make things public and downloadable. So certainly a lot of the stuff that I started on, for example, I'm sure I downloaded that Beatles database I showed you and went, wow, how on earth did they do this? And although I didn't understand completely, I saw enough that I thought, well, I might not have been able to do that from scratch, but I could adapt that with some data about something completely different and do it a little bit differently. So I'm not aware of any courses. I've almost made me think, oh, okay, maybe I should set one up. But yeah, it's more just sort of trying to change the way you think about Tableau and think, all right, let's think of this as doing something mathematical and geographical and some graphs, that kind of thing. And then just sort of get practice on some relatively simple examples like that radial that I showed. Yeah, so it might not be the best helpful answer, but I would say if you Google stuff, you will find stuff, and if you don't find a course, you might at least find some examples of some fun visualizations that you had no idea how they might have been done until you get the opportunity to look under the hood.
Yeah, or you should make one.
Well, maybe, yes. Watch this space.
Good, cool. Okay, last question for Stijn. Somebody's asking, so they are amazed with the functionality of Datylon. Is there also a direction going one day, not just to Illustrator, but to Figma?
I cannot talk about that.
Okay.
Well, let me say it like this. It's not the first person asking it. We have made actually add-ins for other platforms as tests, and it works well. The way, I'm not a software developer myself, but the way it is set up, it can be easily ported to other platforms. So I cannot give a date, but I'll keep everybody posted, let's say.
Super, very cool. Okay, so that's it. Thanks everyone who joined. Thanks for the speakers. Thanks for all the community viewings which joined. I still see that you are there. Thank you everyone. See you next time. I'm turning off the live stream. For everybody else, you can stay here. Thanks and goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.